He thought she was safe the moment he pulled her out of the storm. The rain slid off her trembling shoulders, and as Jacob Hale wrapped a blanket around the stranger by his fire, Ebelived Ed rescued another lost soul from the cruelty of the frontier. He never imagined the real danger had already crossed his threshold. Her name was Elena, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Her eyes never stayed still, as if something unseen kept circling just beyond his vision. Jacob, a man hardened by outlaws and loneliness, mistook her fear for gratitude. He didn't know that each second she spent near his fire was drawing something else closer from the dark. Outside, the storm raged with unnatural force. The thunder rolled too deep, too slow, shaking the ground like a warning meant only for them. Jacob glanced through the rain-streaked window and saw shadows moving in the downpour, shadows that weren't cast by lightning, or horse, or man. They slipped between the curtains of water like living pieces of the night. Elena flinched when he reached for his rifle, whispering that it wouldn't help, that once they found her, walls and bullets would mean nothing. Every instinct told him to throw her back into the storm, but the way her hands shook as she pressed them to the fire pulled him into a choice he would never escape. He believed the danger was something that chased her, not something that lived inside her. But as the night dragged on, the truth began to leak through the cracks of her story like blood beneath a closed door. She hadn't just fled from men or beasts. She had fled from a pact, from something beneath the desert that had marked her as its carrier, its vessel, its way into the world above. Suddenly, the fire dimmed without reason. The shadows in the room stretched against the laws of light. The air thickened, and each breath felt borrowed. Then the storm stopped. Not fading, but ceasing instantly. Jacob understood too late that the silence wasn't safety. It was the signal. A knock came, one slow, deliberate, heavy. No voice followed. Elena collapsed to her knees, tears cutting clean lines through the dirt on her face. "It found me," she whispered. The second knock cracked the door frame. The third bent the iron hinges without a touch. Through the thin spaces, Jacob saw a shape that didn't belong to this world, tall and hollow, bending the darkness around itself. Instinct took over. He fired through the door. The blast echoed uselessly as the bullet vanished into nothing. The knock returned, stronger, closer, now from everywhere at once. Elena screamed that it wasn't there to kill him, that death would be mercy. Finally, she confessed the whole truth. Lost beneath the dunes, she'd fallen into a crack in the earth where something ancient and patient had touched her mind, stitched itself into her memories, and sent her back as its door. The cabin walls peeled inward. The floor buckled. The fire snuffed out. A pale, liquid light seeped through the cracks, and in its glow, Jacob saw what Elena truly was. Not a woman, but a key struggling against the lock it had been forced to become, choosing between fear and meaning. He dragged her out the back of the cabin as the structure folded in on itself. They burst into the open desert, where the silence waited like an ocean of glass. In the center of the empty plain, the ground split open in a slow, soundless wound of blinding light. Elena's body arched, her voice layered with another as she begged Jacob to finish what she could not, to destroy the door before the thing waiting beneath fully crossed over. His hands shook, his heart broke, but he raised his rifle. Not at the monster, but at the woman he had sworn to protect. The shot echoed across the desert like a final verdict. As Elena fell into the light, tears still on her face, the chasm collapsed inward with a roar of shifting earth and dying radiance. When dawn finally arrived, the desert lay untouched. The storm was gone, the cabin erased. Jacob Hale stood alone in the sand, left with nothing but the weight of what he had saved, and the unbearable cost of how he had saved it. He had believed she was safe, when in truth she had been the most dangerous secret the frontier had ever tried to hide.